Okay, welcome, my friends, to the show that never ends. Hey, come back.
I'm here, don't worry.
It hasn't ended, I promise. It's just, right, okay. I wanted to make it clear now, any Sheffield Wednesday fans out there, stay with us. We will get onto that topic in just 1 minute. But I want to say now that if you want to know an overview of the game, I think Darren Moore's post after the game comments were spot on. I think he got the game down to a fine art. I think he read the game really well. Well done, pat on the back. I thought Sheffield Wednesday deserved it. We will come back to the game in just one moment. Just to say other things we're going to look at. Go look at Chelsea. What is going wrong with Chelsea? We'll look at that. And how long does Potter have before he gets sacked? And will it be after Lampard? Real Madrid. I want to just sort of a incy-wincy little bit on Real Madrid. The Spanish Super Cup. Ever heard of the Spanish Super Cup?
Well, it's the same as our Community Shield, essentially.
Yeah.
Except theirs is in Saudi Arabia?
Something like that. I might have to... This is earlier than we normally record it, and he caught me out, so I haven't quite... So I need to look at everything about 5 minutes beforehand. Otherwise, I can't remember what I looked up. So we'll come back to that. Are City not as good with Haaland? Is another topic we're going to look at. They're cocking it up, aren't they?
A little bit.
Yeah. And so these are subjects we've got. Whether we get through all of them or not, I don't know. But let's get on with the main topic of the day, which is Wycombe 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Did you look at the highlights?
The lack of highlights, yes.
The lack of highlights. And that summed it up, was the lack of highlights. Because what actually happened, first 5 minutes, it was anybody's, as a lot of games are, belting it this way, that way, this way, that way. That was Wycombe's best chance of scoring a goal in those first 5 minutes. After those 5 minutes, the game settled down a bit and there was nothing happening really. And then they got their goal. What a good goal. You have to say, what a good goal. Let's be nitty gritty, horrible, pick out somebody who made a mistake. And you'd have to say Jacobson made a mistake. If you look at it, what occurred was he lost his man.
Yeah.
And there were two players. And he lost his, and two players went for the same ball. Jacobson followed both instead of his. Grimmer didn't, because Jacobson went in with both, and the ball got passed to the right to a player that was then left completely free to take the shot. I'm being picky. Okay, I am being really picky. But that's just really looking at how the goal was scored rather than picking a fault. I've looked at it over and over, and yeah, that's the only way it could have actually been stopped.
If we really want to still put an XG on it, though, the XG is still like 0.01 or 2, isn't it?
Yeah, great shot, perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody could stop that, could they? No fault, really. When that player got the ball, brilliant, good shot, deserved a goal. They're 1-0 up. With that shot, deserved to be 1-0 up. After that, I started to get a bit worried, and I'm thinking their skill on the ball, although didn't produce much, they had control.
Mm.
And I thought they were going to whitewash us. And I was worried if they scored a second in that first half, this could be a bad day. And I was really pleased when we went in 1-0 down at half time, because it gave us a chance to take a breath of fresh air and stand a chance of getting that goal back. It didn't happen. They didn't happen. Nothing happened. And nothing happened because their defence was so good.
Mm.
There's a reason they've got a lot of nils through this season, and you could see why. They were definitely better class than Wycombe. There's a reason they are where they are in that league, and why they've had so many noughts. They were good, and I thought they deserved their victory. I have to be honest. I was happy we went away only having lost 1-0, in all honesty.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Getting through that defence. We weren't getting there.
I mean, considering the kind of form that we have been on, pretty much winning every other game apart from the Plymouth game and then that Sheffield Wednesday game, could have been a lot worse. Yeah. It's not too bad, is it, overall?
No, they were good. Wouldn't want to meet them. Won't want to meet them if we do get into that 6th place. I hope they're in 3rd.
Yeah,
because
they're not in 3rd.
I wouldn't want to meet them in a final.
Well,
okay.
But you hope someone knocks them out.
Yeah, I hope we're 5th and Derby comes 6th.
Yeah.
And we play Derby and not Sheffield Wednesday. What was interesting was our buddy, Mr. Goalkeeper, who I keep having a go at, keep poking in the eye, he wasn't even on the bench.
Who are you talking about? Our goalkeeper?
Yeah.
Which one?
Well, the one that left us.
Oh, Stockdale.
He wasn't even their second goalkeeper.
Was he not?
No. I wonder if they've roped him off to Holmer Green.
Shall I do a quick Google of him, see if he's all right?
Yeah. While you're doing that, I just want to make a comment about, again, if any Sheffield Wednesday fans are out there, they might still be because I've been nice about them.
For once.
Great to have so many people at Adams Park. They were loud, we were quiet. They had more to shout about. And always away fans are louder than home fans, I find anyway. But then there was no trouble either outside, which there has been with 1 or 2 of the other bigger clubs. The other thing that I feel bad about, there was a tiny bit of wasting time at the end. They're 1-0 up. They got 15, 20 minutes to go. Of course they do. Who doesn't? We've said that before. Wycombe do. Every team does. Plymouth do. Portsmouth do. They all do. And they weren't over the top at doing it. They were fair enough doing it. If the referee wants to do something about it, he should do. But one of their players went down with about, 12, 14 minutes to go, or something like that. He went down having got injured in the box with a knee injury. And all the crowd started having a real go. And one of their players came over and started talking to the crowd. Probably a bad mistake. The player was right and the crowd were wrong, booing the player on the ground, shouting about, this effing this and effing that. That player was injured. You could tell he was injured. He'd done his knee in. Now, they tried to move his leg and they couldn't straighten it. He could move it, but they couldn't straighten it. In the end, he went off on a stretcher. That was the second of their players, I think, went off on a stretcher. He was injured and he got sort of a lot of shouting as he went off about wasting time. That was embarrassing. I, as a Wycombe fan, found that embarrassing. I clapped him off the pitch, and so did the guy standing next to me. But the guy in front of me was booing him and swearing at him. And that's awful. That's what I hate about football. That guy was hurt.
Yeah, we've spoken about it before, haven't we, with what football is to a lot of people in terms of their end of week release of frustration and anger. And oftentimes it is misplaced. And in that example, it does sound very misplaced. The frustration has come from the fact that we're losing and it's near the end and we haven't got much time to grab an equaliser. That's where the frustration is from, not necessarily from that player being injured. But then they've released that frustration onto him, and it's not right, is it?
That was awful. I don't know what the matter with people is. Okay, you want to boo them when they kick the ball and take sort of 3 minutes to take a throw in or something. You know, you fine, okay, do that. But when he's down and he's obviously injured, I mean, they can see what I can see. They didn't substitute the guy and he'd go off on a stretcher for no reason. That wasn't wasting time.
No.
But apart from that, yeah, I enjoyed it. Even though we lost, I thought Wycombe tried their hardest. I thought Mr. Goalkeeper, great. Want to make a comment about him, though. Reason he's in Division 1. He can't kick the ball out. It's him releasing the ball that he has a problem with. When there was clear gaps sideways to get rid of the ball quick, to throw out, to kick out, he has to think about it, take too long. He can't make his mind up. He doesn't know what to do. And then it
has to be a snap decision, doesn't it? Which has to be there and then.
And that he can't do. He can't make those decisions. And in the end, he kicks it to the same place. And we didn't have Vokes on the pitch to start. He wasn't the centre forward. No. And so all those belts up the pitch were wasted. And he would have been far better off. So often Jacobson was free on the left-hand side, screaming for the ball. And I can't think of once where he gave him the ball.
No.
And that was so frustrating. And that's why he's in Division 1.
Yeah. Well, it typically does. I mean, goalkeepers are always thought, in terms of ability, the disparity is quite even in terms of how good a goalkeeper is at shot stopping and making saves and that sort of thing. But it's the little things that dictate whether a goalkeeper's in the Premier League or whether in Division 1, doesn't it?
Yeah. He's a good goalkeeper, isn't he?
Yeah, because, you see loads of really, really good goalkeepers in, like, non-league and all that sort of thing. We thought Matt Ingram, I'd say probably in my time watching Wycombe, probably the best goalkeeper I've seen at Wycombe. And yet, is he in League 1 now as well? I'm not even sure he starts for the team he plays for.
I'm not sure.
I've no idea. And yet, we thought he was brilliant, but there's little bits of a goalkeeper's game that make sure that they stay down in League 1.
Yeah. And that's definitely his. He could really do... I wonder why. He's Polish, isn't he? I believe.
Maybe.
I think so. I think he's Polish.
You do wonder how much they actually is Polish, yes. How much they'd actually practice that at Wycombe.
Well, that's the point. That's what he needs to train with, isn't it? I think he was born in this country. Anyway, I remember reading something about him. But that is... I don't know why I made a comment being Polish. I don't think it's got anything to do with anything.
I thought you were going to make a comment about their national team or something. I don't know.
Can't throw the ball out, yeah. But definitely he could do with a bit of help with that. I would only say don't get Mr. Liverpool in the last month or two.
So get any of them in, quite honestly.
His distribution's been a little bit on the dodgy side.
Oh, he had one.
Oh, one, right, okay. It's just that one was so big, it's in my brain. Yeah,
of course.
So
I haven't forgotten either.
But that says something that I would still name him man of the match.
Well, there you go. From what I could tell, the two chances they put on the highlights were Grimmer's volley from ages out that went a long way over the bar. And I think another one was it Mehmeti volley from outside the area as well?
Oh.
Like, it was, they were both nothing.
Well, if there was anybody there scouting Mehmeti, we're safe. We won't lose him after that game.
He has had a few weeks off, hasn't he, Mehmeti?
Yeah, and I was going to say McCarthy, not McCarthy. I keep
McCleary.
McCleary. I'm getting too close to their names. McCleary. All his passing, it was either 1 foot too far in front or 1 foot behind.
Yeah.
And that was the game. It was just that. It was just that. The whole game was just that. Not quite. Almost, but not quite. And it was frustrating. And I'm sure as the game went on, the players felt it as well. And they kept trying and trying. It just didn't happen. And their defence was good.
Yeah.
We played 5 at the back as well, do you know? Where I talk about them playing 3 or 4, he played 5 at the back for this game. So he had Jacobson, Obita, Grimmer, and Tafazoli, and who else was on the right? Wheeler. Yeah. So he actually played them as a back 5, and that's where they stuck for a lot of the game. Rarely did you see. The only time Wheeler ever went up was when we had a goal kick, or it went back to our goalkeeper, and then you saw Wheeler move up to the halfway line. But we were really stuck. And to be fair, they didn't have hardly any chances either. Only about sort of 2 or 3 half chances, but they didn't need them.
No, they had a few clear-cut ones, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, but they didn't need them. And you got the feeling like if they did, they could have gone into their next gear, and they didn't. They didn't need to. And it did feel a bit like that.
Yeah. Outrun and outbeaten, it sounds like. Fairly. Stockdale was apparently there on the bench, but he was injured, hence why he wasn't named in the squad.
Okay, I did.
Supposedly.
How could he be injured? He hadn't played. I suppose training he might have hurt himself.
No, apparently he's played. I think I saw he was on 21 games this season.
Yeah, not for the last. For what?
In League One, he's played 21 apparently.
He hasn't played for a while.
That's what it says on here.
I thought he hasn't played for about the last 8 or something.
Well, maybe he hasn't played for the last 8, but he's played 21 matches in the league.
And their goalkeeper keeps getting 9 stars, I think. Their goalkeeper looks good. Did you see him in the FA Cup?
No.
It's on top. Worth a watch, that one was. Okay, we'll give Wycombe a drop there. I can't take a quickie look at Division 1 because, I mean, that game did make a bit of a difference to the league, of course. Especially Wycombe. Well, that puts Sheffield Wednesday, you see. Well, they were already in second, but that made a bit of a difference because Ipswich and Plymouth were playing each other, and that they drew. And so that made a nice gap now with Ipswich in a little bit of problem there because they're now 4 points behind. So are they dropping off again? That's the question. Are they dropping off again? Sheffield Wednesday must have loved that game yesterday.
Ipswich have drawn their last 3. So in a slight rut, but they're not losing games. The problem we have is that we've lost too many. It's a clear comparison to the teams above us. Yes. We're on 10 losses. 5th and upwards are all on 6.
Yes.
So that's our clear kind of issue. We're not getting enough draws. Need a few more draws in there instead of losses.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, of course, the team above us with 2 points below sixth. We're in seventh, 2 points below. They've got 40 points. We've got 38. Snag is they've played 2 games less than us, and that's Barnsley.
And then Bolton are on 44.
Yeah, so we're 6 points behind.
We're essentially 6 points behind, which is a sufficient amount to make up.
It means you've got to beat these teams.
Yeah. Can't rely on others. No.
Which we've got Derby coming up, not that long away. And we got Bristol Rovers just coming up, and they're the team behind us. So that's a pretty important one, the Bristol Rovers game. And I'd love to beat Bristol Rovers again. I've grown to dislike Mr. Manager there. And
we didn't like Bristol Rovers to begin with anyway, did we?
Not a lot. There's a lot of teams I don't like, don't they?
Do you know what?
Biased,
this is something you'll find funny. There was a post that kind of a famous Twitter group called Sport Bible, they put up, putting, apart from rivalries, who are your most like hated team or disliked team? And of course, because it's like big Twitter user, you've got all like the big teams and all that.
Yeah.
Apart from one, obviously you can guess who that was, and there was a lot of us. There was a lot of people who dislike us, and that was kind of clear for me to see that actually we are heavily disliked. But it's just become a thing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Of the lower leagues, we had this reputation, maybe unfairly, and now we're just despised.
Isn't that strange? We find it odd, of course, but well, maybe because if you keep beating teams that are bigger, they don't like it. Well, there was a great article in the Wycombe magazine thing I get for being a member of the independent Wycombe Wanderers club thing. They came out yesterday, and I would read it, but it's not mine to read. That's the thing. Can I suggest people go and buy that magazine when you see it? They sell it, I think it's £1.50, £2, where as you go up. I really recommend it. It's a good laugh. And you start reading these stories and you take it as serious until you start getting a bit further down and you realise they're taking the mickey. And they talked about Peterborough, about they're not happy with the idea of goals against in a football match. They feel that's unfair. They once decided that points per game wasn't right, and now they feel it was unfair for Wycombe to beat them based on goals against. And also, they're not happy with the idea that Wycombe are above them based on points per game, and feel that this just isn't right, and it should be based on the size of the club only.
Yes. That makes sense.
And so they feel they should be above us. And this article, excellent, really funny. And I thought they got that dead right. And is that why people really dislike us? Because we're not big?
Do you know what? One, because we're not big and we beat bigger teams. And two, because we do time waste, as do every other team, but we're good at it.
Yeah, we're not good at football and we beat them.
Yeah.
As well.
Oh, we're not good at football. No,
we're not very good at football.
No.
But I think it's because if we did it once, if we got up there once, that's fine. The fact that we do it regularly is what gets, everybody loves that little Leicester won the league once. But if Leicester kept winning, people get peed off with that.
Well, similarly to all the other big teams.
Yeah, they would hate Leicester to keep winning every flipping year when they spend all the money.
Why did you teach me to hate Manchester United? Because they won every year. Yeah,
because they win every year. And you don't like teams, but especially if they're not very rich and they're very big, wouldn't that get on everything?
And not actually very good.
And they're not very good.
Because Manchester United were never actually that good. They won every single game in the last minute.
Manchester City, and we'll come to them, and Chelsea. I mean, they're big clubs, you know, and they have a right to be at the top. I mean,
of course
the fact that Brighton. Oh no, we shouldn't really mention Brighton, should we?
Oh, stop.
Okay.
One of my friends has said that his granddad goes to Brighton games and is looking at getting tickets for Brighton Liverpool. And was like, "Oh, do you want to go?" And I was like,
"Not this season. I'd give this season a complete miss if I was you."
Oh mate, I've just given up.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother about this season, Kieran. Just not let it go this season.
No.
Let it go. Oh, you're off.
I just thought I'd turn the light on, get a bit dark.
Yeah. Okay, so that's top. I see Oxford flipping one again. Not that I've got a thing about Oxford. Don't get the wrong impression.
No.
And at the bottom, amazingly, Morecambe have got out of it. Now, that's admittedly, they've got the same points as Cambridge who've dropped in it. But do you remember at the beginning of the season, after, 8-10 games, we looked at how good Cambridge were getting on, and they were near the top, weren't they? Do you remember this?
Yeah.
But when we looked at the quality of their games, as in goals per game against expected goals per game, it was completely wrong, and they were scoring above their expected goals, etc., and that doesn't carry on. Expected goals and goals scored should be about equal. You can't keep getting the luck. The luck will run out.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they're now in the bottom four. I mean, they've had a bit of a season, haven't they?
Well, wasn't it Cambridge and Portsmouth at the top as well, wasn't it?
It was. And now Portsmouth are 15th. They lost again, did they?
I have no idea. Well, they sacked Mr. Manager, didn't they? Finally.
Yes, we discussed that, didn't we? They did, Portsmouth. They lost 3-0 to Bolton. Yeah, they did. We discussed manager sackings and said it was about time they went. I mean, I don't like suggesting, but for goodness sake, he had to go, didn't he? I say him and his brother.
Yeah.
They come as a pair, don't they? Work smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Zoom 1. So it says on here. And I almost pressed the upgrade because I wasn't really paying attention. That's lucky. Right. Okay. Shall we move on from this league then?
Let's move on. Let's
discuss the first on my list, Chelsea.
The only big team doing worse than us at the moment.
I want to mention that Tuchel, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, well done.
Tuchel, yeah. Tuchel.
No.
In his last 4 months, he beat City away. He beat them in the FA Cup semis and Championship final. And then they sacked him. Yep. Potter, on the other hand, has scored 20 goals. This wasn't counting. When did they play?
They're playing right now.
20 goals in the last 17 Premier League matches. If you look at a table on shots, they're 17th in the league on number of shots. Expected goals, 15th in the league. Their big chances, they're 13th in the league. And shots in the box, they're 12th in the league. 19 out of their last 25 points were when Reece James was playing, and he's only played 8 of the 17 matches, suggesting they're missing somebody.
Well, injured, isn't he?
He's injured, which is a bit of a bugger, really, when you're looking at... there's my facts. Off you go.
They've just spent another £85 million, only 85 million, on someone who I hadn't even heard of, as I don't hear of most of these players that people sign nowadays for £85 million. His name is Mudryk. He is a winger from Shakhtar Donetsk. Winger's a position I don't think Chelsea are really in need of, seeing as that most of the time they do play five at the back. So they're not really going to have too many, occasions when a wing is really required. And they also already have quite a few wingers in Pulisic, Havertz, and all these guys.
Yeah.
So this January transfer window alone, they've already spent 140 million. The other three people they've signed, again, not a clue who they are. They're like completely random people. And then they had already spent 200 odd million in the summer. And
so it's not money they're lacking, then, is it?
It's not money they're lacking, but the thing is, their team still looks, and on paper looks, very average, which is just insane for the amount of money you can spend, and they're spending on. They might work, they could be all right, but we don't really know.
What do you say this guy's called?
Mikhailo
Mudryk from Shakhtar Donetsk.
Shakhtar Donetsk are a big team.
On an 8.5-year contract.
Yeah, that one's a bit mad.
That's a bit over the top, isn't it?
It's ridiculous why they've decided that he's the man they need to sort themselves out.
So they've got him till 2031. Why have I frozen? Have I frozen for life?
You're frozen for me as well.
What happens with this then?
Well, I can still hear you and all that, so it's fine. It's a podcast at the end of the day. They're not here to see our faces.
Is it going to stay like that forever?
I don't know.
Right.
Sort that out after the 5-minute thing.
Well, you do some waving and things. Oh. Sorry, go on.
I'm still here. And then, so that their team should be insanely good. I don't think Liverpool have even spent the amount of money that Bowley has just spent in the last 5 years, let alone the last 6 months. Even City. I think Chelsea may well overtake City in terms of money spending. And then you look at their team actually play. Sodding Mr. Felix on was it Wednesday or Thursday evening, getting sent off in his first game for his new club. And so as part of his 6-month loan, he's already missing a month of that. And it's such a shambles, and it's so good to have a team who used to be very good, not doing very well, and doing even worse than Liverpool.
Yeah, don't mind me, everybody. I've just completely thrown. We've only got, what happens if I put it on pause and come back or something?
Well, give it a go.
Right. Sorry, we're talking about Mikhailo Mudryk.
Any notes on Chelsea?
Right, yeah, well, whatever. Sorry about that, everybody. We had a technical issue there, and it was all Kieran's fault. Yeah.
I didn't know such thing.
Wherever we got to, just say his fees, there's a fixed fee of 70 million, which is 62 million they're paying, with a further 26.5 of add-ons, and we've spoken about what add-ons are before. 8.5 years is Charlie Kane, his agent, is one comment I've got down here.
Charlie Kane?
Yeah, well, that's Kane's brother, isn't it? Who ended up sticking Kane at Spurs for all these years.
Oh, yes.
So taking the mickey out of him being stuck there. That's probably from a Chelsea fan. The Chelsea is dying. And Champions League is watched all over the world, not just the UK. What's that written in there for? Anyway, yeah. Bit of trouble there. I don't get that. Seems a bit daft. But Chelsea are definitely in trouble. How long's Potter got? If he was previous owner, he'd be out by now, wouldn't he?
If his previous owner, he'd be out. The problem is they've just got rid of the manager who's been the most successful for them in the last 4 or 5 years. And so it's kind of suggestive of what is the limit. Because if you have to be that good and you still get sacked, I don't understand how you can stay in the job. I mean, the results have been as bad as it gets for Chelsea as well. They had that awful season once where they came about 9th or 10th. But you got the impression that it was just an off-season, that they would be back. You don't get the impression with that. You get the impression that Potter's really going to be able to turn it around. So it will be interesting. Do I think he'll stay this season? I think he has to, because I think the owners will be under a lot of pressure if they do sack him. Because, I mean, do they just go get Tuchel again? Doesn't show very good leadership.
It doesn't, but buying this guy shows that they're behind Potter, doesn't it? That they've gone and bought this person before sacking him.
Well, I mean, spending 85 mil suggests that they're, more than up for trying to keep the club going in that respect.
Yeah,
but it's a poor time to go and splash 85 mil on another winger and another attacking player, because they've got so many. I don't know how they're coping with it in terms of your financial fair play stuff. Because, I mean, Felix isn't cheap in terms of...
Oh, that was funny, wasn't it?
It was awful.
They got him for 20 games. He
Yeah.
plays half of one, gets sent off.
That's a fifth.
3. Has he got to miss another 3 now?
He missed another 3 because it was a straight red, and it was a straight red.
A million a game, isn't it?
Yeah, something
Chelsea.
Like that. It's so poor. And, you can see why he's gone for the challenge and why he's gone to do it, because he wants to make an impression and all that sort of thing. But it's backfired hugely. And Chelsea are in trouble.
They're getting a number of... I mean, they've got a lot of players injured at the moment. Is it Broger?
Broger, yeah.
Yeah, he's not back till late August.
I mean, he's the only striker they have at the moment who's actually looks like he could be someone.
Yeah.
Aubameyang is just...
Pulisic, whatever his name is.
He was sick, yeah. He's out.
March, end of maybe. Zakaria, January, Mendy, February. Kante is back in training. Sterling, early February. James, late January. Come on, James, he's in and out like a yo-yo.
Yeah, he does get injured a lot.
Yeah, and is it Fofana? It'll be
Fofana, who...
days.
He was another 75 million signing.
And Chilwell was a few weeks. So he's got a lot of players to come back.
Yeah.
But is that the problem? I mean, I said, didn't I, about when James plays, they win. But that seems a little bit... Is that luck?
I don't think it's suggestive that is just the be-all and end-all. They're just in good form at that point, whereas they're in poor form now and they keep losing because of it. I don't think if he comes back, everything's going to be solved. How do they get out of this? Genuinely don't know at this point.
What gets me is you get a good manager and then the team goes crap.
Yeah.
55 managers in 2022 were sacked
It's over half.
Year, obviously, stupid comment. I said 2022, which was last year. I mean,
that's over half of the managers in the EFL.
Well, is it manager's fault? Is it Potter's fault? Or is it just the way it is? I mean, take Rashford. I mean, 1 minute he's crap and I wouldn't have put him near Wycombe even.
No.
Now, you have to say he's playing brilliant. He is. What wasn't he on the pitch for England for? You wonder. But it was only a month or two ago he couldn't kick a football straight.
No.
Whose fault? I mean, was that manager or was that his? Why can't Chelsea play?
Is it manager? I mean, I don't think manager is brilliant. I think manager's good. But then if you were to ask me who is a brilliant manager, could I name you many? Because of this idea that we've got of what makes a brilliant manager. The Brighton manager at the moment, I can't remember his name, but people are saying he's brilliant. I imagine it would go exactly the same for him with Chelsea as it would for Potter. There's so many things that can contribute to whether something or someone is successful. And as I've mentioned so many times, there are more losers in football than there are winners.
Yeah.
By a long way.
Well, there has to be. You only win a third of the games at best.
You only win a third of the games. I mean,
on average.
How many years have Arsenal been the losers? They've been losers for, let's say, 8 years. I actually might concede they might actually win it now. There'll be winners. I know.
Hello.
There'll be winners for 1, maybe 2, and then there's another continuous few years of failure.
Yeah, enjoy it now.
Yeah.
So Liverpool fans.
Liverpool have been apparently successful in the last 5-6 years. We've won 1 of everything. We've never won 2 of anything. And as much as we have won everything, it's taken a few years to get it all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a funny old game, as they say, and I'm not quite sure. I think as a manager, you're going to have to take it, unless you're Manchester City manager, who seems about the only. Do you know what his winning rate is? It's something like 73%, whereas Mr. Average is about 35, 40. And we know why, because you look at the teams, and so it should be.
Yeah.
If it wasn't that, then he's failed. There's no doubt in that. But look at City. And is he failing now? Is he a bad manager now?
I wouldn't have said so.
Because we're getting onto that. Might as well move on to that. I mean, we talk about Ainsworth being a good manager because we're always doing better than we should.
Yeah.
And he should be doing better than he is, shouldn't he?
Who, Ainsworth?
No, City, Manchester City.
Theoretically, we would suggest they should win the league every year.
Yeah. Now, asking that question, have they gone downhill? And funny how Haaland, I don't know whether to call me Haaland or not. Haaland, and going downhill has come hand in hand. And people are saying they said because they haven't got a number 9 and yet they won everything, and everybody used to talk about not having a number 9. Well, they've got a number 9 now. What are they lacking? Width, aren't they? Now, because everything's going to him, and everybody knows it.
It does make you wonder what is going wrong. I think there's a couple of small things that are contributing towards it. I think it's a slightly aging team. I think De Bruyne is getting older. Mahrez is gradually getting older. Gundogan. Couple of them, Bernardo Silva, they're getting a little bit older. Shouldn't make too much of a difference, but I think it is a little bit. The consistency of Sterling scoring goals isn't matched by Grealish or any of the other wingers.
Score, does he?
Well, he scored yesterday, didn't he? But apart from that, he doesn't score very often. Foden isn't played consistently, and we're told he's supposed to be the best young English player ever.
Did they take him off yesterday?
And I don't know. And their back four chops and changes all the time, which is never a good thing. And the new guy they got in from Dortmund, Akanji, doesn't look like he should be part of a Man City team. And so it's strange. I don't know what noise that is.
It's me putting my phone next to the microphone.
Is it Haaland's fault that all that is happening? Those specific things, no. But the dynamic of the team does change because he's there. And maybe they haven't quite worked that out yet.
I mean, let's go.
Not to say that they've been bad, in all fairness. They've still won the majority of their games, but they're not as good as Arsenal, apparently.
I mean, let's go from the 11th of October, okay? They lost to Copenhagen in the Champions League. They've lost to Liverpool. They've drawn against Dortmund. They lost to Brentford. They've drawn against Everton. They've lost to Southampton. And they've lost to Manchester United since October.
So for them, it's a lot.
That's not a great. That's not a winning streak, is it? I mean,
No.
there was sort of, this sort of 20 game on the trot stuff. That ain't happening, is it?
No.
They're losing points on a regular basis, and which means that every game they're coming up to, every team now thinks, hey, there's points to be gained. And there was a time when you didn't stand a hope against City or Liverpool. Now you can beat both.
Yeah.
And everybody knows it. And they might have the best striker in the world, but he doesn't win their games, does he?
No.
He's not winning their games, is he? He's scoring, but he's not winning. Okay. Just to mention, before we finish, because to talk about the Spanish Super Cup, I won't. Real Madrid. They have no Spanish players in games now. It's the first time ever. Last week, they played a game with not one Spanish player. Any comments?
Spain aren't what they used to be, are they? As a national team. And the majority of those players do come from Barcelona. Is it... I'm trying to think of the Spanish players who played there before. The Spanish players who have played there before do come under more scrutiny than the others. You get the impression of, fair, you come under a lot of scrutiny playing for Real Madrid anyway. I'm thinking of Casillas when he played for them. He basically got sent out the door crying. Ramos kind of got pushed out the door. Raul, these type of players. Maybe it's not an enjoyable environment to play for Real Madrid if you're Spanish.
Well, I thought what was interesting about that comment, I mean, it just caught my notice that it was maybe we're used to having foreigners play in our football teams. It does strike me that occasionally it's nice to have one or two English people in the team. But over there, that's big. The first time it ever happened, that was big. To them, it was noticeable, and it was in their papers.
Yeah, but I mean, Barcelona do have about 6 in their team, don't they? Yeah, and it always is kind of the forefront of what they're about. Yeah,
I just thought,
not even the Spanish manager either, is it?
No, it just did strike me. I mean, over there at the moment, do you know Barcelona are top of their league?
They're flying, Barcelona.
Yeah, with Real Madrid as second, 3 points behind, which is so a bit boring. And just to say that they're back in the newspapers about their Super League thing.
Yes,
not the Spanish Super League. I'm talking about the big
European.
Yeah, and I just wonder if they don't hurry up with that. Premier League ain't going to want it, are they?
Oh, they don't want it anyways, do they?
There's no need for the Premier League to have that.
The Premier League,
won't they be carrying Barcelona and Real Madrid?
I think there will come a point where the Premier League almost becomes your Champions League.
Yeah.
It's getting that way already.
Yeah. We're really only missing Paris Saint-Germain.
The other teams, I mean, this sounds not great to say, but of note in Europe are PSG, Bayern, Barcelona and Real Madrid. Even the Italian teams have fallen off.
But I was going to say, I mean, Barcelona surely won't be around for much longer.
Well, I mean, with their money issues, you never know.
And in the end, I mean, we used to talk about top six. We'll finish with this, Kieran, because we've been going on a bit. Who are our top six? Any idea? Name them.
What in the Premier League right now, or in general?
Just general. If you were to, when they talk about, in a Super League, who are the top six?
So over Europe.
You see, I think there's more than six.
Oh,
in the Premier League, I think there's more than six.
It is in no particular order. I'm just going through my head. City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea. Just, I suppose you do put Spurs in there, Newcastle, Brighton are even getting.
So you got 1, 2. We won't include Brighton just yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So you've got 7 in the top 6. But and that's not including teams that are doing well. That's just money.
Yeah. I only say Brighton because I think in La Liga they've come third.
That'll make it 8.
Yeah. I only say them because I think they've come third in La Liga, suggesting how irrelevant the rest of the league is.
Yeah. But you see, that's my problem with this Super League thingy. There's just too many. We don't need it. We've got our own. Haven't we?
And, the teams in our supposed best teams are losing all the time to others anyway. All the other teams are solid and brilliant as well.
Yeah.
It is a Super League already.
Because if you were to put a European Super League, it'd be our 8 plus others. So why not just keep our 8 plus others?
I mean, when they talk about like the values of the team squads, Aston Villa are always high up there. Somehow Everton are always high up there. We've got so many teams who are big and very big.
Yeah. There was another topic I wanted to bring up, and we're going to do this really, really, really quickly. And I'm sure nobody else is watching anymore.
Probably not.
But I wanted to talk about that offside or not.
Oh, yeah.
And I've looked it up. And I want to tell people why it stood. Because the rules changed this year. Okay. And I'm just finding, right. I want you to tell me whether these happened or not. And so did it stand or didn't it? Okay. A player in an offside position at the moment the ball is played or touched by a teammate is only penalised on becoming involved in active play by 1. Did he do this? Did he interfere with play or playing or touching a ball passed or touched by a teammate? Did he interfere with play? I'd say he didn't. He just ran over it. He didn't touch it. He was where he was and the ball went past him. He did not interfere. He didn't try to get out the way. He didn't try to cover it. He was just moving. And that's not his fault. He did not interfere. He just let it happen.
But if a City player was closer, he would be interfering with them being able to clear or touch the ball.
But that's their fault.
Why?
He was nowhere near the player that stuck it in the net. And if the ball goes past him, so it goes past him. He didn't interfere with it. It just happened.
Yeah, but he is almost protecting the ball.
Okay, so
yes.
But he didn't.
He did a bit, though.
He didn't. He was just running. And he was in an offside position, so,
yeah,
he let it go past him.
But he wasn't going to until he had a shout from Bruno Fernandes.
Right. So we question that one. Interfering with an opponent by preventing an opponent from playing or being able to play the ball by clearly obstructing the opponent's line of vision. He did not, in my book, clearly obstruct the opponent. He was just running.
No, that one's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Challenging an opponent for the ball. He didn't do that.
No.
Clearly attempting to play a ball. No. Making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of the opponent. He did not make an obvious action. He was running.
No, it's obvious he's going towards the ball. And he was going to do something with the ball.
Gaining an advantage by playing the ball. He didn't. Rebound or deflect off the goalpost, crossbar opponent. No. Being deliberately saved by an opponent. No. So you're suggesting you think he interfered with play.
Let's put it this way.
By not doing anything.
Let's put it this way. I'd be fuming if it was given.
So what was he supposed to do?
Not run for it.
He was running and he was offside. And so he didn't touch the ball.
He was running towards the ball. His body was around the ball the whole time, making it look like he was interfering with play until the very last.
Well, I disagree with that because you see, people think now
you can't suggest he's not going towards the ball. He's hovering.
No, the ball came toward him.
Yeah, because it was passed to him.
Same.
No, it was passed to him.
Yeah, but that's not his fault.
No, but he's still gone for it.
I don't think he went for it. I think he was running. He knew
Where does he run?
Where does he touch it?
Where does he run towards?
I don't think that's fair.
The ball. He goes towards the ball.
You're suggesting that any ball played forward with a player in an offside position, therefore he's interfering with play.
He's literally hovering over the ball.
So nobody's allowed to be offside.
What do you mean no one's allowed to be offside?
Well, if any player offside, you can't pass it to anybody else.
If he was to get a slight touch on the ball, would mean no, but he's literally hovering over it. If I put my entire body around the ball, but I'm offside, you're telling me that that's not offside?
I don't think he was offside.
Fine.
I think that goal clearly stands. Although I see Guardiola thinks the only reason it was given was because it was at Old Trafford.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Not that he ever gets anything for it being at Manchester City.
If it was the other way around and it was against City or whatever, they would have given offside. Or if it was against United, they would have given offside.
You think? Yeah. You think the home ground made a difference?
Of course it does.
Okay. With that, we'll finish. So, do you win more at home because the crowd are behind you and you're used to the game there, or is it because the referee gives you all the choices? Yeah, obviously it's down to that. Okay, we'll pause there. pause there. We'll stop there, and Kieran can have a chat to his mum. Okay, everybody, we'll say goodbye. Kieran, say goodbye.
Bye.
I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.